Hello, gents and Vars here. We are going to begin a new short adventure in the RPG of Heart. This horror fantasy game is gonna set us in the underground city of Divesse. For this game, as I'm learning the rules, I'm going to be playing The Drowned. It is the quick start short adventure to get familiar with the game. As I was reading the rules and understanding how the game works, I read too much into the pre-written adventure. So this video can be a good example for you and learn something what to do in this situation if it happens to you. So I'm using plot unfolding machine. I'm going to go for the survive plot sheet that has a way longer plot track, as you can see. And I'm going to use the extended lists because since I'm using a pre-written adventure, I might have a lot of content to pull from. The rest is the pre-made character sheets that this game brings with. I set up the table on Tabletop Simulator and the main map. And here we have the protagonists, 5 player characters party. Not small, and they're also full of powers and background, so it's gonna be a challenge to play all of this together at the same time, pre-written adventure. So, as I was saying, I read too much forward, and please stop watching this video if you are interested in playing this adventure, because there's gonna be spoiler heavy alert. What I did is read The Drowned. I know it begins in this city called Divesse. It begins in the lower tier of this dark world, and these tiers in Heart represent how much the veil is broken and how much the surreal dimension comes across our reality. In the lower tiers is where things are more stable, and usually not a lot of things out of the normal, let's say, occur. But that's getting thinner and thinner every time. As soon as we go out of what's called the heaven, a safe area, things begin to get darker, and the perception is not what it seems to be anymore. And the farther away we get from the heaven areas or tier 0 areas, the shadier things get with the total unknown. And what we know in this pre-written adventure is that there's going to be a huge drought, essentially a group of hooded missionaries from an old Quin goddess are going to fill the entire city center with water, as if a sea or a canal broke, and they want to essentially submerge the city underwater. So, since I read this forward, I said, oh crap, now I cannot play this. I broke all of the surprise, which was like past the first scene of the adventure. And I also took a look, I see forward the things that will happen by the title, so that's fine. It's fine, that doesn't tell me much. But I messed up when I went ahead through the second and even third scenes of or episode or chapters of the game. So what to do if that happens? Is it all lost? Do you have to throw it away? Well, it's hard. It's hard to come back from there, and I almost abandoned the project. But I said, look, what if the characters knew that such a drought and such an assault is coming? Instead of the characters being hired by the paladin of the city after the chaos happens, why not be hired to prevent it. So it's probably gonna happen anyway, but I don't know when, and my characters will be on the lookout. And that already changes it enough so I can go and play scene by scene and get into the narrative my game without, let's say, ruining or spoiling my game. And then we will try to catch up with how the game proceeds forward. The other thing I did is get by name only and not to read. Get by name aspects of the adventure. So what I did is put this information in the lists of Load Unfolded Machine. So I put the actors here and the page numbers, so whenever they hit I go and read, and some of the problems that will happen, like the water flooding is gonna happen. There's some background stories from the characters I'm gonna start with, and also there's a few world aspects we begin with. So with that said, it's like, okay, I can get going from here and try to play, essentially. So let's get by preparing the first scene. I did prepare a few images to be able to access the list of characters and to get to know who the protagonists are and start playing with them. First we have Quin Moreau. He's a Vermisian knight. He is a penitent. The penitents are those people who come down here and look for trouble because they need or they want to redeem themselves. In this case, Quin was a Vermisian sage until he messed up with the knowledge of the unreality of the cursed, and he caused a great tragedy. He got demons come through the veil and kill a lot of people of his order. In order to redeem himself, and he was almost expelled, but he wasn't, barely, he took the vows of being a knight. And he promised to make his name worth the forgiveness. Next we have Lind Vasail. She's a witch. She has nightmares and she feels the call from the city beneath. She was exiled by her family, and she knows that she needs to take care of her visions and figure that problem out. She can cast blood magic, and by following the nightmares, she manages to reveal herself in her true form, whatever that means. Tenacity Malrik. She's a heretic. She follows a goddess of the moon beneath, of the temple of the moon beneath, who is also in the city, underground, but deeper. She's convinced that she's blessed by her glory, so she's going to follow her rites and speak in the secret name of the goddess. Gethin Bind. He's a hound, like security, forces of the security of the city, of the down city beneath. He wasn't originally, actually. He found the corpse of a hound, so let's say a police, and he stole his equipment to become someone in this world. And since then he has ever lied about his identity. He's still a competent fighter, but he's a survivor. Now he has to follow certain commandments he gets from a crime lord, an occultist who knows his true identity. And finally we have Ynneth Danarian. She's what's called a junk mage. She's an occultist. Used to be one of the best, but burned out years back after trying to channel powers beyond their understanding. She became desperate and went looking for darker places for power, and she found it. Now she has this addiction to delve deeper into the Undercity, looking on information of the drowned Quin, from which she siphons power. So these are the characters, all broken, all full of flaws. With that said, let's begin the game. Divesse was once an aqueduct, funneling water down into the city beneath from the rivers on the surface. Now it's a quiet market settlement where around 30 families make their homes. The player characters have been hired to keep guard over, or otherwise support, the inhabitants of the Divesse. There's talk around town of settlement disappearing, of whole communities vanishing overnight, and folk are overall scared. From the central structure, the inhabitants construct walkways, ladders, and staircases that twist and twirl up into old maintenance tunnels, natural caverns, and constructed platforms. It's a matter of pride to have the tallest, the most complex, or the most intricate struts leading to your home. And above the market stalls, lanterns twinkle and glimmer through wrought iron metalwork and brightly colored glass. This week is a festival time, and the traders have gone to great lengths to make their stalls as attractive as possible to travelers. Streamers of red and orange flutter in the slight breeze that blows through the tunnel. Sacred incense burns with the smell of cloves and resin, and as is tradition, all the rats in town are caught and have bells stuck to them for reasons that are lost to history. Despite the fear in the air, there's a sense of hope for a god festival, and therefore a good year to come, which is all for naught as the Divesse is about to be submerged beneath several millions of gallons of salt water. So, as you can see, this is where I spoiled myself ahead, and I was like, oh, did it have to say that here, really? Anyways, we're gonna play because we have a role-playing to do, no matter how much we know. So we will begin in the market, selling treasures pulled from the depths of the beneath, bushels of mushrooms and salted lizard meat, and devotional clay tablets on which the faithful write prayers to the lost in the city beneath, in the hopes that their spirits will hear them. Ask your players what they are doing to keep an eye on the people. So, I'm gonna stop right there and begin the first scene. We're going to have the characters know each other, at least partially, or some of them, but taking different posts. They are in different areas and they have been hired separately. So with that said, you're gonna get an intro of each one of them. The marketplace and everything is going to be fine. Many people are arranging this cultural event and enjoying their time. There's children and they're different from different ages, but all the characters know that something is brewing up and they're paying attention to their surroundings. For that, the first scene is going to be a modified proposal because we know what is going on, and we're going to check how things are different from what we thought it is. The scene modified proposal for the first beat is going to be 5. We're going to add a tragedy. Alright. Related to what exactly? 75. Power control. Alright. So Quin, the knight, is going to be walking through the halls, the alleys of the city, trying to figure out whether there are anything like to pay attention for. Then it calls his attention that one of the alleys is particularly empty and dark. And there's a hooded man on the corner that as soon as he notices that Quin is coming, he moves away. Quin hurries his steps, gets into the dark valley, and he will spot a trace of blood. He decides to not follow the hooded man, but rather follow the trace of blood, and follows a small stair to the right side, going down to a house that's on the lower level, under the ground level. There is a man who's dead. Quin makes sure the man is dead indeed. And it is. As he checks, it turns out it is the very mayor of the neighborhood that this event is taking place on. He walks back, doesn't do anything about the body, and takes a look at the corner where the hooded man left. There he will meet with, let me check whom of the others he will meet. With Ynneth. Ynneth, he doesn't look like this monster, but who knows, maybe that's his true form. He's going to be watching the main market area. Hey, Ynneth. Yes. The mayor is dead. Well, I guess that's how we start. I'm afraid so. Have you seen anybody? I seen a hooded man pass the corner. No, I have not. But we will pay attention. Did you know in which direction they left? They turned right where you are. You must have seen them. Well, I have not. Quin takes a look to see whether there is any sewers or entrance going underground, the pipes. And indeed there are. Down there, then. We should take a look at the water pipes. That sounds like a good idea, but it shouldn't be you. They have seen you, and probably they have seen me. Maybe it's good if we tell Gethin. Yes, maybe it's a good idea. You go? Yes, I go. The place is very crowded, full of people, tourists, and so on. Quin is going to take care of hiding the body so nobody gets alarmed before time. The next in charge would be... who exactly? I don't know who would be the next in charge. But it's probably someone from the order of the city administration. I would guess that Quin knows. But he won't let them know yet. After all, it would be their fault if anybody died, and Quin is not ready to be blamed so soon for anything yet. Ynneth goes to Gethin. What was Gethin doing? Let me check what she could have been doing. 5. Looking for answers. Let me roll a focus. 11. Chant and write. Gethin was overseeing one of the religious rituals that take place in these festivities. This happened somewhere in an elevated bastion, and that's where Lynn is going to find Gethin, as she was overwatching this rite, but nothing special was happening, and she was bored to death at the time Lynn arrives. Having fun, I see. Lynn, it isn't hard to read my face, isn't it? It is not, my dear. What do you want? We have a situation. It might be a good idea that you take a look at the sewers and the water pipes. Isn't Tenacity over there? I don't think so. But if you find her, take a double look. The mayor is dead. What? Yes, you heard it right. Somebody killed the mayor. Quin found the body. Damn it. Alright, I will look for Tenacity. Can you cover me here? I will, my dear. I will. Gethin rotates her post and goes looking for Tenacity. Let's see what was Tenacity doing. Number 1 for activities. Protecting a domain or place. Alright, let's get a focus. 37. 37 stands for allies. Tenacity is protecting the outpost towers of the hounds, the police or the security forces. And she was being watched as well. They know they are hired by the city watch to protect or to give an extra eye to the situation as the danger is coming to them. Gethin moves through the crowd of people, pushing a few people here and there, making room until she finds the outpost tower of the hounds. Hey, psst, she calls Tenacity. Tenacity is super serious. She's got a tome on her hands. And she was looking at the surroundings, walking around the barracks area. What happened? Shouldn't you be in the sewers? No, Ynneth is supposed to be in the sewers. We said you were going to the sewers. Ynneth was going to the sewers. I was supposed to be with the hounds. Well, then fine. The mayor is dead. That was a... Wait. Shouldn't Lind be with the mayor? I don't know, I thought Ynneth was going to be in the... Crap. Alright. Then we really hope Ynneth was in the sewers. Otherwise, that would be a weak spot. As the characters are rotating and nobody knows where Ynneth is, the question is whether Ynneth is on the sewers or not. That's set 3. No, definitely not. So that's why the hooded men are moving through the sewers that the characters by mistake did not monitor. Obviously, they don't know well each other enough to be that, let's say, precise. But these are delicate times. Ynneth, on the other hand, was doing something else. Let's see what she was doing. 3. She was searching for something. 5. An artifact, an item. Ynneth is the junk mage. She was distracted with one of the magical stores in the city instead of taking her post. She's got a dead man's fingers. Yes, that's what she got distracted with. Finding these dead men's fingers and buying them from a local magic store from the city. But as that was happening and this chaos of the security occurred, we will trigger the soon after. A traveler in a long hooded cloak stands immobile in the center of town. That would be more or less where Gethin and Tenacity were talking, near the, well, somewhere between the religious rites position and the barracks outpost towers. Water stalls to pull around their feet, and when someone confronts them, okay, we've got to see the hooded man. As the hooded man shows up in the center of this town, water begins flowing from all sewer covers, pipes, and everywhere, literally at an alarming rate. People start screaming all around, and most of the merchants start taking care of their most precious possessions so they don't lose everything they have. The hounds, the city security, begin looking at each other, not sure how to react. Since the mayor is dead, they are totally unorganized, and command doesn't come from anywhere. What do the characters do? Since Quin was the one figuring that the mayor is out, he will take command. He's going to rush, find for the captains of the security as fast as he can to start organizing the people and triggering the emergency routes they have prepared, because they were expecting this drought, but of course not at this scale. The water is invading them much faster than they think. Let's see how Quin does with this situation. He was going to, let's do the first roll. We will need a lot of d10s for this game. So the way it works in these rules is that we're gonna call both a skill and a domain. And the city itself is Haven and Warren. So these are the domains that are applicable in this location. But he doesn't have that domain, so he's gonna roll. He's trying to do a compel to, let's say, give alert to the security watch sergeants so they react and not expect the major to come and give any orders to anybody. I see he's not very charismatic, but he's gonna do his best. Let me see if he's got any abilities that could help around here. I don't think he's got anything really. So he's just going to roll 1d10. So you roll essentially, this heart system works by dice pool. So you can get, you start with 1d10 plus 1 for the skill, if it's applicable. He doesn't have compel as a skill, so the relevant domain, in this case, it would be Haven, because he's trying to go to the securities. He also doesn't have that relevant domain, and he's got no mastery, so he's gonna roll a single die, and he needs to roll, let's say, 8 or 9 for a success, or 10 for a very critical success. Anything below that will cause him certain stress. I think the stress of this area is going to be a D4. Let's go. That's a 6. That's a success with a consequence. So if we take a look at the determined success and failure, 6 is success as a cost, taking stress. So he's gonna take some stress, which is 4 tremendous stress points. So echo is for twisting the body and mind by the unreal energies of the heart. That's not the case. Mind is for madness, instability. Fortune is bad luck, incompetence, and overconfidence. I think it's more related to this in this scenario. So it's gonna take 4 stress points in his confidence. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now the way it works is that we roll a d12. If we hit 4 or less, we're gonna get a fallout. The fallout are bad consequences. So we don't want a 4 or less. That's a 1, obviously. So we begin with a fallout of fortune. And that's a minor fallout because we're still below 6. That's how the rules work. I think it's a pretty fun, grimdark game where consequences are heavy. Of course, this will be a bit slow because I'm learning the rules. And let's choose which fallout we go for. I think I can roll a d6 and choose it random because I'm still learning the game. 2. Long way round. You take longer than expected to reach your target. On a delve, add d6 to the delve's resistance. If you're searching for someone or something at landmark, you arrive just late enough to be in trouble. So we're gonna take this long way round. It's an immediate fallout. That means it just happens that way. So I think this is pretty good. Let's go back to the narrative, and hopefully next time it's gonna be a bit faster. Quin rushes to find the sergeant, but he doesn't find anybody from the watch. He just sees people running over and the sound of the bells, of the rats that were being prepared for the ritual, and everything is so confusing and chaotic that despite desperately looking, he only found one of the junior's hounds. He grabs him from the chest and says, "Where is your sergeant?" Say, I don't know. Okay, you better organize these people, move them around. And he says, "Yes, sir. I will do my best. I think the sergeant was on that building over there." And Quin will follow that instruction he got, only to find a bit later that that building is fully flooded. What was once an outpost tower of where potentially the sergeant would be is now crumbling to the water. This water feels heavier, salty, and rusts the metal. Everybody looks for higher places or run as fast as they can, but strong waves of water now begin to fall, and anybody slow enough will start to be dragged. Lind, what does Lind do? She's going to find and target one of those hooded people. Delve, what is delve? I think it's a skill. Yeah, for exploration. Definitely not what we want. We need to kill. And bloodbound. Mark d4 stress to blood to roll with mastery when using the equipment for the rest of the situation. Alright, mark d4 stress to blood to roll with mastery. Alright, so it's kind of like self-sacrificing. She's going to do that. She's going to try to lunge herself forward with her sacred athame. She's going to cut it herself with the blood to tie the soul of that hooded cultist. She's going to mark a d4 stress to her blood for this. She rolls a 1. Here. Lind. And she's going to try that. So she goes for kill. Kill is not her marked skill. She's actually good at compelling and mending and at the occult. I think it could be occult. Let me take a look at what occult represents. Because if these are the cultists and she's using dark magic, this might make sense. Hidden knowledge and black magic. Yes, I think that's the domain she's handling here. One of the running women around her sees Lind like self-scarring with blood magic, and she doesn't know whether to run from the water or run from Lind. Lind ignores this woman, proceeds. Her focus is the very cultist that is pulling the water up in the hope that she could stop them. I need a counter. This is the amount of hits that we do to the existing delve. So the way that heart works is that we need to cause, or we need to trigger certain amount of stress points to the current scene that we are in. I think I'm going to count Quin's compare as a 1. So roll a d4. Lind is going to try to attack this. She doesn't have kill, but she's got a cold, so she can roll a 2d10 and pick the highest. That's a 10. That's a critical success. I didn't use the mastery, but anyways, I roll a 10, which is the maximum possible dice I could roll, and then she rolls a d8 for the damage she causes here. That's a 3 to the situation, goes up to 4. She knocks the cultist back, who falls in the water, and the water begins dragging the cultist himself. But then he submerges in the water and disappears. Lind, however, has got a blood link with the attack. So she's going to follow him in the water and catch him, as he was injured anyways. He could not move that fast. And she would attack him again from the distance and knock him out against one of the columns in the market. The water still raises up. She catches with him, and he's lying and laughing, lying on the ground pushed by the water. Lind grabs him from the shoulders and make him stand up. Despite pain, he says, "You are too late." And Lind is gonna ask him, "Who are you?" And he says, "We are the emissaries of the drowned queen." Some of us was following the drowned queen, if I remember correctly. I think it was Ynneth, right? The one that wasn't in her post doing the guards, as it's expected. I wonder if we have treason within the party already. And she has the kiss of the drowned queen. She will have an advantage to the situation.